convey to him the sincere thanks of the Assembly for this gracious message and an assurance of the inspiration and encouragement which we have derived.
Thank you very much.
President of the United States.
Thank you very much. Today, I come before you because our human commonwealth is once again in a state of anxiety and turmoil. Urgent issues confront us. The first proposition I place before you is that only through the United Nations organization and its truly democratic processes can humanity make real and universal progress toward the goal of peace with justice. Therefore, I believe that to support the United Nations organization and its properly constituted mechanisms and its elected officers is the road of greatest promise in peaceful progress. To attempt to hinder or stultify the United Nations or to deprecate its importance is to contribute to world unrest and indeed to incite the crises that from time to time so disturb all men. In response to the call of the Republic of the Congo, the United Nations, under its outstanding Secretary General, has recently mounted a large-scale effort to provide that new republic with help. That effort has been flagrantly attacked by a few nations which wish to prolong strife in the Congo for their own purposes. The criticism directed by these nations against the Secretary General, who has honorably and effectively fulfilled the mandate which he received from the United Nations, is nothing less than a direct attack upon the United Nations itself. In my opinion, he, the Secretary General, has earned the support and the gratitude of every peace-loving nation. The people successfully subverted in Africa, the world will be on its way back to the traditional exercise of power politics, in which small countries will be used as pawns by aggressive major powers. Any nation seduced by glittering promises into becoming a cat's paw for an imperialistic power thereby undermines the United Nations and places in jeopardy the independence of itself and all others. It is imperative that the international community protect the newly emerging nations of Africa from outside pressures that threaten their independence and their sovereign rights. The United States supports the establishment of United Nations Fund for the Congo. We are prepared to join other countries by contributing substantially for immediate emergency needs to the $100 million program that the Secretary General is proposing. Fourth, the United Nations should help newly developing African countries to shape their long-term modernization program. To this end, the United Nations Special Funds and expanded technical assistance program should be increased so that in combination they can reach their annual $100 million goal in 1961. Staff and maintain, until these governments or private agencies could take over, institutes for health education in our institutions of learning. These, then, are the 5 ingredients of the program I propose for Africa. Non-interference in the African country's internal affairs, help in assuring their security without wasteful and dangerous competition in armaments, emergency aid to the Congo, international assistance in shaping long-term African development programs, United Nations aid for education. Some progress has been made since that time. Much remains to be done. The Secretary General has now suggested that members should maintain a readiness to meet possible future requests from the United Nations for contributions to such forces. All countries represented here should respond to this need by earmarking national contingents which could take part in United Nations forces in case of need. The time to do it is now, at this assembly. I assure countries. Another problem confronting us involves outer space. The emergence of this new world poses a vital issue. Will outer space be preserved for peaceful use and developed for the benefit of all mankind? Or will it become another focus for the arms race and thus an area of dangerous and sterile competition? The choice is urgent, and it is ours to make. The nations of the world have recently united in declaring the continent of Antarctica off limits to military preparations. We could extend this principle to an even more important sphere. National vested interests have not yet been developed in space or in celestial bodies. Barriers to agreement are now lower than they will ever be again. The opportunity may be fleeting. Before many years have passed, the point of no return may have passed. Let us remind ourselves that we had a chance in 1946 to ensure that atomic energy be devoted exclusively to peaceful purposes. That chance was missed when the Soviet Union turned down the comprehensive plan submitted by the United States for placing atomic energy under international control. We must not lose the chance we still have to control the future of outer space. I propose that, 1, we agree that celestial bodies are not subject to national appropriation by any claim of sovereignty. 2, we agree that the nations of the world shall not engage in warlike activities on these bodies. 3, we agree, subject to appropriate verification, that no nation will put into orbit or station in outer space weapons of mass destruction. 4,
on behalf of the government and the people of Cyprus, I wish to express to all members of this assembly our deep appreciation of the mark of confidence shown to our newly established state by the unanimous adoption of the resolution of our admission. I particularly wish to thank the governments of the United Kingdom and Ceylon for sponsoring the resolution, as well as those of Greece and Turkey for their valuable part in this resolution. We are indeed happy, Mr. President, to be joining the United Nations together with the 13 other new states of Africa. May I extend to each of them a warm brotherly greeting of welcome. There is much in common between us, and we look forward to our ancient country with a history of civilization and culture extending back over 4,000 years, Cyprus made no little contribution to the moral progress of the world. Its philosophic thinking anticipated the present-day ideal of the United Nations. For the Stoic philosophy of virtue, founded by Zeno of Citium, a Cypriot Greek, aimed at and anticipated a world state wherein national antagonism would be merged in the common brotherhood of man. Geographically placed, particular role, influence increased, and the field of its activities enlarged. We look forward to the time when an effective military force at the command of the United Nations will be a guarantee of peace and freedom in the world. In this age of science and speed, of rapidity in international development and sudden changes, governments and statesmanship have need of that higher wisdom which is not and cannot be divorced from basic moral principles. Moralizing may sound sanctimonious, yet we feel that scientific achievement has made it imperative that there should be a corresponding moral progress if humanity is to survive the dangers of self-annihilation.